incident to give you an example what a wonderful democratic country Czechoslovakia was.
What year are we talking about?
This was in the 20s. She had to pass an entrance exam, and after that she was accepted on a scholarship. Books were not given free in not high school, business school, but they gave some to indigent students. But an atlas, for instance, they did not give. So her classmate shared hers with Shari. And it happened in school, and the professor saw that, and he said to her, if you don't have money for an atlas, then don't study. So when she came home, and she told Olga about it, she went straight to the principal, and the principal knew Olga from her previous years of study, and he probably reprimanded a teacher or professor, and he made her life miserable during that year. But when my turn came to go to business school, and I had also to go through the entrance exam, and he was the one, the same professor, who announced that I did not pass the thing. But I knew better. I knew that in math, and I knew that I finished my assignment quicker than the others, because the teacher told me, if you are through, you can go out. So this time, my brother-in-law went to the principal, and he told him that I'm sure of it, that I passed. So imagine, they appointed another professor to give me a test. I went in with him into an empty classroom, and I took whatever, he told me, the test, and I finished, or about to finish, and in came again the troublemaker. And he said, colleague, I think that this still can be shortened for fractions, And he said to him, he answered, it will suffice. And he got red in the face, walked out, and I was very lucky that I never had him as a teacher, because I and maybe 3 other girls were transferred to the boys' school, the parallel school, so I never had him. So I'm just trying to show you that they went and they straightened out the case in favor of the student. And there was another incident also I can mention. But before we graduated from business school, we went on an excursion to Prague, outing, and other places, about 8 or 10 days. And when was another professor, he announced that we are going on this trip, and who is going, he asked, and hands went up. But I just sat there and I didn't do anything. So he said, why aren't you going? So I told him simply, we don't have the money. So he said, well, you and one more student can go free. Okay. So I was glad, and I told my mother. And then later on, he announced the schedule when we are going to leave, and it was on Shabbos. And 2 parallel classes were going at the same time. And I said, I cannot go if it's on Shabbos. So he said, doggone it, But he worked it out And both classes left with me at 12 o'clock in the night. In other words, it wasn't Shabbos, but they accommodated. So I feel this was a real nice gesture.
What were your goals? What did you want to be?
To become a secretary or maybe in bookkeeping, but I did not choose bookkeeping because my eyesight was bad already as a child. It was neglected. I got late my eyeglasses examination when I was already earning my money as a secretary.
When you were living with your family, what was your favorite Jewish holiday and how did you celebrate it?
My favorite holiday was really Pesach, because on Pesach, my brother, who lived in Romania, came home to conduct the Seder since Pinchas was away in America, and he stayed over Passover. And also my sister Olga, she attended a business academy, which was a 4-year school, and she lived in the dorm. But since she had to observe kashrut, she needed a place to, she lived in the dorm, but she had to eat someplace where they could accommodate her with kosher food. So my brother Pinchas, before he left for America, he arranged everything. He took her to the city and enrolled her. And he also knew a few very nice families who opened their house, hospitable. And she went to school there, and then after graduation, she got a job with a company named Samuel Binder. And what she didn't know, that this company already in those days must have belonged to a hate group, because one day a man came in who was the boss's friend, and he said, "Oh, I'm glad," he made anti-Semitic remarks, like, "Oh, I'm glad I don't see here hooked noses," meaning Jews. And she stood up from her desk and she said, "You are mistaken, you missed one right here." And he apologized that he didn't mean anything, but she said, "Sir, you don't get it. I'm quitting, as of now." And she told him, etc., etc., and she left. When the Zionist organization heard of this incident, they sent her a citation for conducting herself as a proud Jew.
What did you like about Passover most, besides having your family with you? What rituals did you like the most?
Well, the Seder, of course, because everything, was, the dishes were changed, and though later on, when I was a little bigger, even like 10 years old, my task was to peel potatoes, mountains of potatoes, and it was just a fun time. Olga came home and I tried out all her hats and things like children do with the high heels. And she taught me some songs.
Do you remember any?
Yes, from The Bartered Bride. It's an opera, Czech opera.
Could you sing a line or so?
Proč bychom se netěšili, proč bychom se netěšili, když nám Pán Bůh zdraví dal, když nám Pán Bůh zdraví dal. So on.
What does that mean?
Why shouldn't we celebrate when God gave us health. I don't know if you're familiar with the opera Barton Bride.